joined today by Rich. Hello, Rich.
Hi, Kyle. Hi, everybody.
All right, you guys are probably wondering where the hell have you guys been for the past 6 months, 7 months? When was Snyder Cut? March.
Um, I
Yeah,
time has lost meaning. I don't know.
I was gonna say it's been a while, so it's been a few months. Before that, it was even more months. Pretty much just to kind of give everybody a quick overview of our absence and everything like that. Myself, I got super swamped at work. In March of 2020, I transitioned to new job, new role, new everything. So it was a little bit much to be able to get everything up and going and functioning to a point where I could come back and record. Yeah, and then Rich and Dan also had some life stuff going on. So everybody had life stuff going on, but everything has since settled to a point and or has gotten to a point where we are now we can start recording again on a semi-regular basis now going forward. So here we are. We're back to kind of just break out some expectations for people. Previously, we tried to do weekly episodes. We were trying to drop stuff on hot topics that were coming out. We were trying to, touch on all the different trailers and movies and TV shows and everything like that that was coming out week to week. Due to, again, life and everything like that, and just the overall nature of how everything's been of late, we're going to be scaling it back from less weekly to more, couple times a month, a few times a month. So, maybe like every other week or, every so often or whatever. But so it's going to be a less consistency going forward with it, but you guys will still be getting some Fandom Academy still coming into your ears and into your headphones. So, you win some, you lose some. And we're going to look on the bright side of this as we are officially back in action. So I just talked for a while. So, Rich, I'm going to let you.
You must teach kindergarten, ma'am. Am I right?
What was that?
I don't
Sorry.
know.
Sorry, my phone started doing something. Sorry.
I'm leaving that in there.
So what would you like me to say?
I don't know. You got anything to add?
No, I'm happy to be back. I hope everybody's doing well. And like you said, life happens, and we decided that we'll do it when the push comes. It's always there, and we felt the urge, so here we are.
Exactly. That's pretty much it going forward. Some of you guys might be thinking, hey, there's someone here there's someone missing. For this recording, Dan could not jump on. Dan is still with us. He still will be a part of the Fandom Academy. But just for this recording, he won't be here because he has some adult things going on. So pretty much with that being said, we can kind of just jump right in here. Sorry, I'm gonna be editing all this shit out. Alright, perfect. Sorry, someone messaged me from work, so I had to deal with that.
That's okay. I was looking for a gift to send to Michelle, and that's why the volume came up. So, yeah. So I'm with you on that.
Okay, perfect. So yeah. So let's jump right into it here. We got probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest movies of the year that has recently released, and that is Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I probably butchered his name again because we, always get critiqued on how we say his name, but you know what? It is what it is. So Dune drops. It was getting all the hot topics. Everybody at TIFF, at Venice, everybody was going nuts for it. All the critics loved it. It dropped on Rotten Tomatoes with an 83%, 83% critic score, 91% audience score. Dual release HBO Max in theaters. And it has come out swinging hard with $236 million worldwide to date, going into weekend number 2 of the box office. We haven't gotten those numbers yet, so that number is surely going to go up. Let's kind of start with the movie at hand here. So, Rich, I know me and you both were both very, very over the moon about this. What in particular did you love about this movie?
I'm with you. We were both very excited for so many different reasons across the board. When I watched it, it's funny. Dan and I talked privately the evening we watched it, and he was like, "I liked it," sort of question mark, and I was the same way. I liked it, but I can't quite say I loved it. I think the first time sometimes watching things, like when I used to watch episodes of Game of Thrones the first time, you're on such an adrenaline level, such a high, such a anticipation for what's coming next level, that it's almost hard to process it properly. So the first time I watched it, when it premiered the Thursday evening, I liked it, but I wasn't sure. And then when I watched it the second time, a few days after, immediately, knowing what I'm expecting, knowing what the ride's going to be about, I really started to love it and appreciate it a lot more. So that's just the intro of my visceral experience having viewed it. With that being said, what I liked about it, and I do have some criticism, so I don't want this to be just an absolute gush fest. I want to be fair to it because not everybody's going to watch it the way you and I watch it. I know Dan speaks for an audience that's going to watch it differently than us, so I'm going to balance it with that. We were on fire about the casting, and the casting did not disappoint. So I thought all the leads were just fantastic. The perfect casting fit. I think Rebecca Ferguson was really a standout, and that's saying something because Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Timothy Chalamet I thought was wonderful, Josh Brolin in his way. Stellan Skarsgård was, I think, maybe second to Rebecca Ferguson in stealing the movie in his limited time. But I thought Rebecca Ferguson was wonderful. So the casting and the performances all hit expectations, which were very high. This director and this cinematographer, the cinematographer who did Rogue One and some other great movies, they didn't disappoint. The movie is a technical marvel, a technical masterpiece. It really is. I watched a small clip of Denis Villeneuve talking about Lawrence of Arabia and how this movie impacted him when he was younger, and really is a seminal moment for him in wanting to be a filmmaker. So you can really see the visuals, how that inspired him, Lawrence of Arabia, because the visuals are just every single scene, every single frame, I should say, is just a piece of art. You could take almost every frame of this 2 hours and 35-minute movie, freeze it, print it, hang it on your wall. It's that beautiful. The sounds, I watched it with a great pair of headphones. The sounds, the score, Hans Zimmer, so it looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. And I'm going to talk about this maybe more in a little bit of the negatives, but the flip side, the positive part of it, is because they all created, I should say, a very visual storytelling movie. The themes are present in a really unique and interesting way. They don't rush things. They don't rush scenes. They don't give you a bunch of character exposition. They don't shove a bunch of information down your throat through a character talking about a ton of things or a bunch of dialogue, which works too in movies. But they told a visual movie, and in that visual storytelling, still were able to really give us a lot of the themes and the story that are present in this world in a good way. It worked. Like, we understood what was going on, even though there wasn't a bunch of character and world exposition. And the world building was really good. I liked it a lot. I liked the world building in general. The world they gave us that already existed, from the book and the TV show and the 84 movie. He still gave the world that has existed for a long time and presented it to us in a way that, wow, that's pretty freaking dope. So that's my, little bit of what I liked.
Nice. Yeah, no, I agree with everything. And the one thing that I really loved about it, and you hit on it towards the end here, is the world building. And I'm someone, I have watched the movie from the 80s, but I haven't watched it recently. I have not read the novel. I haven't done anything, so I'm pretty much I went in blind to this.
Okay.
I love the fact that they used Timothy Chalamet's character to teach you as the movie's progressing with his character. It's they don't just drop you into this world and make you assume that you know everything and that everything's going on and that you have to read the book to understand stuff. It's you're learning all this stuff along with Chalamet's character, and it really really hits home as far as an audience member is concerned because of the fact that it's information that is passively being told through the story instead of it just being, like you said, dropped in your lap and saying, okay, here, absorb all this. So it really helps, the absorption and retention of it all, doing it passively like that. So it was great. I do agree that there are, some flaws in the film and everything like that. But overall, I absolutely loved it. It was an absolute delight. I watched it kind of in like two different settings or sittings, I should say. The first one was I started it at I want to say like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, the day that it dropped on that Thursday. And I was like, yeah, this will take me to midnight. I'm fine. And then I got a half hour into it and I felt myself just like not paying attention and dozing off because of just how tired I was from the workday. So I was like, oh, let me pause it here. Kate was asleep already on the couch. And I was like, let me pause it here. We'll go to bed. And then I'll, finish it up tomorrow. And I'm so happy that I did. Because I started it the next day, like right after I was done working, like 5 o'clock hit, got home, sat on the couch, pressed play, and it was a completely different experience for me. And it was absolutely phenomenal. I fell in love with the world. I fell in love with the characters. Rebecca Ferguson, like you said, is absolute show stealer here. If she's not up for some sort of award, for best supporting or anything like that, it will be a crime because she was that good. The seamless transitions between real and fake, as far as like real and CG, I should say, was phenomenal and incredible. And I think it was Christopher Nolan who said like he's never seen visuals like that before that are blended so well.
Right.
And I have to agree. I cannot think of a single movie that is blended to this level of reality and realism. And you're sitting there like, I could go visit Arrakis right now. I could go to this desert in the middle of nowhere and see this giant sandworm. Like it's absolutely crazy how they did this. But overall, I love what they did. The character of Duncan Idaho is my favorite by far, and he needs to get his own spinoff. And speaking of that, they did announce Dune Part 2, which is
right.
big hype. So there's a lot more of this world coming. They also announced they officially announced a prequel as well, focusing on Rebecca Ferguson's characters, like cult, or what would you consider them?
The Bene Gesserit, a cult sounds like a strong word.
Right,
a
but
sect.
Yeah, I think that's the better word.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking right now just to get an idea of what we would term that. I mean, Wikipedia calls them a key social, religious, and political force, but I think sect is the better word.
Yeah, they're out there. They're extreme. They're cool. But yeah, that their sect, their group is getting a spinoff on HBO Max and everything like that, set many years before the events of Dune and everything. So very excited for that. I'm excited that HBO and Warner Brothers are seeing the potential in this and seeing this as what it can be, and it can be a very expansive universe, a very robust, I don't want to say cash cow, but cash cow, where they can almost have this running opposite of, let's say, like a Game of Thrones and the House of Dragon, where, if we get House of Dragon one year and then we get a Dune spinoff the next year and then back to House of Dragon, you know what I'm saying? Like you can balance that very well, and they could really dominate going forward. But that's kind of side tangents and everything like that. But I'm very happy with this movie overall. Very Very excited about it. I'm not going to go into anything more detail wise like you did because you just kind of hit the nail on the head with everything. But with that being said, there are some gripes that I do have with this. One of the biggest gripes that I have is I know that I said that the passive learning in this was great, but under the underappreciation, I guess, for some of the characters in this was very, very apparent. There are several characters in this that are very large. And again, I know that I said that I didn't read the books or anything like that, but I did talk to people who have and everything like that. But there are several characters in this that kind of get overshadowed a bit. Like the doctor, like the general dude that is the tactician. I forget his name.
Gunny.
Gunny, yes. Like those are two major characters in the book that when these events happen, like when Paul's life is threatened and the twist that comes later, I'm not sure if we're getting to full spoilers or not, but the twist that comes later with House Atreides and everything like that, those moments are so much more significant in the books because of how these characters are built. And it's almost kind of like you don't have that same emotional connection to them just because there isn't anything really there that's built with these two characters. So that would be my one gripe, I guess, would be that, I wish that they did a little bit better of the character building as far as like some of the background and secondary characters. But I do understand why they couldn't go into all that in, a 2.5 hour format.
I would agree, and I think that was my biggest gripe. I really like the way you put it as with the storytelling, passive learning. That's a really good way to put that. And I also do agree that not delving into some of the characters a little more, would have liked to have seen that. And, parallel to that, the character relationships like Paul Atreides and Josh Brolin's Gunny, who they do have a close relationship. Like, we got more of Duncan Idaho and Paul, which is great, but Gunny and Paul have just as close, if not closer, of a relationship, but we don't get to see that. But it's hard for me to call that a negative because I understand that, hey, this is how we're telling the story, and this is how we're not telling the story. And it's okay. It's like, okay, you're using oil paints and you're not using acrylics, and in the end, you still came out with a beautiful painting, so I get it. I'm not going to say, oh, you should have used acrylics instead of oil. So I would have liked to have seen a little more character exploration and a little bit more character interactions to give us some, like you said, some emotional investment in them and some depth and nuance to the story. But what are you going to do? It's a small gripe for me. It didn't take away from it. It's just now armchair quarterbacking and saying, yeah, this would have been better,
Is Oscar Isaac the most underrated actor going right now?
I think if he's not the most, he's right up there because I feel like we take him for granted.
That's exactly how I kind of feel as well. Is like when I was watching his performance in this, I was like, holy shit, I forgot this guy has acting chops. Like, because everybody, for a lot of people, and I'm saying this as far as the greater kind of universe goes, or, fandoms and everything like that, a lot of people, his first introduction was Star Wars. That's where a lot of people, that's when he got his hot shot into mainstream audiences and everything like that. So a lot of people look at the performances there and not saying that they're bad or anything like that, but it's just not anything. It's Star Wars. It's not going to grip you and bring you in and give you depth like that. This was a completely different level, and I think this might be the role that people point to and say, holy shit, like this guy can do it. And I really feel that way because he does have some other really good roles and everything like that. But I think going forward now between Dune and now you have Moon Knight that's coming for him and everything like that, I think, we're going to start seeing a lot more people start recognizing Oscar Isaac as the great actor that he actually is.
Yeah, I would agree. I knew who he was before Star Wars because I had seen him in A Most Violent Year, which is a great movie with Jessica Chastain, and before that, the Coen brothers Inside Llewellyn Davis, which was the one where he really started to get mentioned as an actor. And I do highly, highly recommend, if you like Oscar Isaac, just go watch Inside Llewellyn Davis, which is a little bit of a downer, and A Most Violent Year. They're two excellent movies, and it really does show. And along with Ex Machina, which came out the same year as Star Wars,
Yep.
it shows his range, and it shows how great he is. And I absolutely, he was just, again, going back to it, the roles were cast perfectly. It's like if you're picking your fantasy, football squad, or you're just your fantasy casting like we've done, this is the perfect fantasy casting of each. Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho was brilliant. Timothy Chalamet really is Paul Atreides, Rebecca Ferguson, and even on the other side of the, with what's his name from who's the wrestler? I forget his name.
Bautista.
Dave Bautista, who I would have liked to have seen more, but he will have more going forward. He was great. Stellan Skarsgård I mentioned, but Oscar Isaac, I mean, he's just beautiful on the screen. He fits it. I agree. I couldn't agree more. He really is. We do take him for granted how great he is.
And outside of him, I think, we've already touched on Rebecca Ferguson's, how brilliant that performance was and about how perfectly casted she is. And we could go into an entire podcast just based around that performance. But someone that isn't getting a lot of attention because of all of the other actors and performers around her, Sharon Duncan Brewster as Liette was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. She played the transitional character.
Yeah,
she gave such a depth to a character that you didn't realize you needed that depth for. She has this personal, like you would think that she grew up on this planet because of the personal connections that she has with everything that's happening there, and her personal involvements, investments, and everything, and the way that her character goes from not trusting anybody to, realizing that the House Atreides are full of good people, or they're not all good people, but that they care and everything like that, and then how she can leverage that to help her people, and everything about her character, her performance, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
I agree. And when we think about it, and you're making me think about it more, she got a lot more, I want to say screen time, but more so storytelling time. And it really is sort of through her, and in addition, Rebecca Ferguson's character, but through her, where she's the one that's sort of explaining a lot of things, maybe not explaining, but showing us a lot about the themes, the world, and what's driving this story with everything that's going on, on Arrakis, everything that goes on with the Fremen, everything that goes on with the prophecies and the Messiah, everything that goes on with the Emperor and the politics. She's the one that's doing a lot of storytelling and exposition to teach us, and it's not done in a way to explain it. It's just done in, this is who I am as a character. I bridge these worlds. I know a lot about these worlds. I live these worlds, and now I'm imparting it to you in an emotional and well-performed way. So a lot of it is driven through her, and it's through her performance and the dialogue and what she's given, and she crushes it. So I agree with you. We have her and that character to thank for a lot of understanding.
Exactly, and the way that she's able to blend the lines between insiders and outsiders and everything like that in this world that we don't know is just it was beautifully done, and I need to give her credit for it, because her performance in that role, I don't think a lot of people could get that sort of passion that she was trying to push through on it. And she did a absolutely phenomenal job, so just needed to throw that out there.
I will agree, and I want to add one more layer to it that is both a critique and a positive. The critique is that, I saw the original Dune, the 1984 movie, in the theater when I was a kid. And, it is what it is. It's, yeah. But that's my introduction. So I know a lot of the story that takes place. But after watching this movie and going onto YouTube and listening to people, because I had questions that go beyond just the story, maybe some other things that I was concerned about, and listening to the smart minds that I trust, that know the story, that know the books, that know the things, it really helped. Now that I've started watching it a third time, I just get such an appreciation for this world. Now that's partly a critique because, the Dans of the world and there are people that are going to watch this, and really, there's nothing wrong with their viewing experience of wanting to go in and say, "Hey, I just want to watch this movie. I want to enjoy it, and then I want to go back to my life." I'm not like Rich. I'm not like Kyle. I'm not going to, do extra credit because I'm so into it. I want to enjoy my Saturday night, watch it, and go back. And they're going to miss out on a lot because there's a lot that's not in the movie that I and you maybe are getting from people that know this world. So, but, what are you going to do? That happens. That being said, the world, I don't want us to walk away from reviewing this movie without talking about what I appreciate from Frank Herbert, the author who created Dune and who has impacted, the George R.R. Martins and the George Lucases of this world. 1984, the Dune movie, doesn't give you in such a deep and impactful way and makes you curious about this world that was created like this movie does. And now this movie has made me explore it more. And like in that Game of Thrones way where I enjoyed it on such levels and to such depths, that's how I'm starting to enjoy this. And because I'm discovering this world, the women, the Bene Gesserit, how that works in that whole culture, what they're doing, the politics. And in addition to that, Frank Herbert's lessons and messages on religion and leaders and oppression and saviors. I'm really starting to get blown away by it, so I'm looking forward to more and how they give it to us in these movies and whatever other, shows and platforms they give to us. So Frank Herbert, man, there's a reason why this stuff is legends. So I just want to say that.
Yeah, no, kind of hit that square on the head. Is there anything else? I know that we can talk Dune forever, but is there anything else that you wanted to bring up before we give our final scores on it?
No, that was the last thing I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, cool. So what are you giving it?
I have a tendency to react emotionally and with the recency bias, say, give it a 10. But I know I can't do that. So I want to give it somewhere between 9 and 10. So I think I'm going to land on 9.5. Okay.
That's a good score. That's fair. Mm-hmm. It's really good. I think I'm looking at my Letterboxd right now. Hold on. On Letterboxd, I gave it a 4 out of 5 on there. And if you translate that to a scale, 10 scale, that's an 8 out of 10. I think it's a little bit higher than that. I think it's like an 8, 5, and 9 in that ballpark. How Part 2 comes along is really going to affect, my future scoring of this. Because this is a Part 1, Part 2 situation. So it's really, really, really going to be dependent upon if Part 2 comes out and it's a flop, it's going to make this movie significantly less enjoyable for me. Mm-hmm. But if Part 2 comes out and if it's the same caliber, same quality, same everything, this could be pushing a 10 for me. So I'm going to leave it at an 8.59 right now, and then we'll revisit this when Part 2 comes out in a couple years.
Gotcha. And I will say this, that in my Letterboxd rankings of the 2021 movies, it has taken the number 1 spot for me.
Oof. Yeah. It is number 2 for me right now.
I saw that.
Yeah, number 1 is Coda still. I can't get over Coda. It is It hits me so differently each time I watch it.
And that's understandable. These are it's hard to rank certain movies because these are 2 completely different type of movies. Apple TV's Coda, a family drama, dramedy, emotional, and this one. They're just, you really are comparing apples and steaks, not even apples and oranges. They're so different. So it's hard. So yeah. I get it.
Yeah. By the way, quick plug. If anybody hasn't seen Coda yet, CODA, on Apple TV. I would strongly recommend watching it. It is absolutely phenomenal. That is my quick plug for the moment. If we go down that rabbit hole, it's going to be an entire episode, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spiral down into there. Because we got something else to actually talk about, which is very, very exciting for myself. I know that you are also excited about it. We got our first teaser trailer, I should say, at Pixar's new film set to debut in 2022, Lightyear, based off of the, Buzz Lightyear character in the Toy Story universe. There's a lot of confusion about this, and there's a lot of people trying to figure out how this connects to the greater Star Wars, the greater Toy Story universe. So let's just kind of real quick. This is the synopsis off the Disney.fandom.com site for this. So this is like the official, like what Disney has released, everything like that. So I'm just going to read this real fast, and then we'll kind of delve into everything revolving this movie. So Lightyear is a sci-fi action adventure and the definitive origin story of Buzz Lightyear, the hero who inspired the toy. The film reveals how a young test pilot became the space ranger that we all know him to be today. So, this is not the toy. This is not anything to do with the toy in that regards. Toy Story 1 through 4 and all the spin-offs are all kind of separate from this. This is the in Toy Story universe character who inspired that toy. Now, there are some people, and this hasn't been confirmed by Disney or denied by Disney, there are some people out there that are speculating that this is a actual human being who is set in this universe that inspired the toy. Then there are other people that are speculating that this is a movie within the universe that inspired the toy. So Disney hasn't confirmed or denied one way or the other yet, so we're going to get some clarification on that, later down the road. But I just wanted to kind of touch on this first and foremost, because this seems to be a very large point of contention for a lot of people with it.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's ancillary contention that exists on a deeper, grosser level, going down into the pits and the dregs of social media, of the replacement of the voice actor from Tim Allen to Chris Evans. So that makes it even more.
Yeah, but we're not going to go to that level of it. But the in-universe explanation of this that I've seen floating around Twitter that I'm running with because I absolutely love it and it's hysterical is that Chris Evans is the voice behind the actual Buzz Lightyear person.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And that for the subsequent video games, TV shows, and like the in-universe TV shows, video games, and toy, they had to get Tim Allen to do the voice because Chris Evans was too expensive.
And it makes sense. And it happens all the time that, you get a movie, you get a character, and then in the TV shows, the Marvel TV shows that they don't have Chris Evans doing Captain America, Robert Downey Jr. doing Iron Man. They have other, voice actors doing it. So, yeah, I think that's pretty darn meta.
Exactly.
In something that's already extremely meta. So yeah, what else you want to say? Go ahead. I know you have more to say.
I mean, that's just kind of like the in-universe stuff that I wanted to touch on quick before this, but to get into the actual trailer of this, to preface this, there are very few things in life that make me feel like I'm a child again. Toy Story and Toy Story 2 came out when I was very young. Toy Story, I believe, came out when I was, just born, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was, a year or two after. Toy Story 2, same deal. And they're some of the first films that, I distinctly remember watching. So, Toy Story has a very special place in my heart. So, anything involving Toy Story instantly can bring me back to being a child and being a 7-year-old just sitting there watching it. So, the moment that this trailer dropped and that it started playing at first on my phone, and then when I switched it to my computer and then eventually to my TV, because I've watched this trailer now 8 times. Each time that I've watched this trailer, it's kind of like that scene in Ratatouille when the food critic takes the bite of the ratatouille and he gets transported back into being a little kid at home. It's that same feeling to me of I'm being transported back to being a little kid again and sitting there and just watching this character that I grew up loving. And like I had a Buzz Lightyear toy, I had a Woody toy, like I had all these, like, you know, I had all the Toy Story toys. Like my mom actually just gave them back to me. She found them like in a box somewhere in our house and just gave them to me. So it's actually perfect timing with that. But so this anything Toy Story related, absolute. It makes me feel like a kid, and this trailer was absolutely no different. Everything about this, the David Bowie, the way that they cut the scenes together, the way that the character is being portrayed, and the style of animation and everything that they're doing about this has gotten me so excited for this. Like I went from seeing this, you know, when they announced this at their Disney Plus or Disney it was, you know, that online thing that they did a couple of years ago when they announced 50,000 Star Wars and Marvel shows and all their film slates and everything like that. I remember seeing this and being like, okay, like that's exciting, but I'm gonna be very hesitant until I see some footage of it. And my lord, this just it blew me away. Everything about this has gotten me extremely excited. I am more excited for this movie next year than I am for any other movie coming out next year.
Nice.
That is the level that this has gotten me to. So there's a whole lot of story stuff going on in this. I don't really know what to expect from the story aspect of it all, but I'm so over the moon and excited about this. I'm going crazy for it.
Nice. Awesome. I have nothing to say. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we are so inundated with movie news, with this news, with Disney news, with Marvel news, that sometimes I get overwhelmed and I don't absorb things. So, like, Dan will share lots of articles every day, and then months later, when the news of something probably happening, and then months later when it actually becomes real and we get a trailer or we get this, I'm like, oh, did I know that? And it's like, yeah, I did know it, but I didn't, fully absorb it because it's just so much. That being said, that's what happened with this. Like, when this trailer dropped the other day, I was like, wait, I think I had to go into the recesses of my mind. Like, wait, yeah, I think I remember hearing Chris Evans was doing that. That's right, all right. But then when it becomes real and you see this trailer, I mean, first of all, and I'm going to be like you, I'm going to talk about the nuances and how I feel about it, but it just looks like a good movie. It looks really cool. Like, if I didn't know Buzz Lightyear, if that character never existed, if this was new, I would see this and say, hey, that looks pretty good. I want to see that, whatever this is, whoever this is. That looks, the effects look good, the story looks good. I mean, how many times are people going to use David Bowie's Starman? I mean, it's getting overplayed, but it still worked beautifully because it still crushes it, and it fit. I loved it. I think I loved it more because I felt it worked for Buzz Lightyear, so being subjective, it worked. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate what I feel is genuine creativity here. When Toy Story came out in 95, it was a landmark movie. It was massive. Everybody embraced it. It was critically and universally loved, and we all loved it. But we didn't realize at the time what it was beginning, what it was starting, what it was doing with Pixar, and it was also super unique. We look at it now and be like, oh, that's second nature. But toys that come to life and have this weird world that makes sense, like, wow, that's new and unique, and we love it. And now it's become second nature, and I like that they're now reversing the journey in a really cool meta way. Usually the journey is, movies get made like Star Wars, and then they create toys based on them, like Star Wars action figures. Now it's toys exist based on something we don't know about, and now we go the reverse journey. Here's who it's based on. That is, I defy you. And I said this. We said this to Dan. I said it to him privately yesterday when we were all talking about it. I defy you. I really genuinely, maybe I got to explore it, and maybe I can be proven wrong. I defy you to find me a more unique prequel. Create a prequel. I mean, I'm sure there might be one out there, but this is a really cool, unique prequel story idea. And I just love that it, once again, Toy Story is being unique and cool and meta in its own way. And again, it just looks good, but I know this was mentioned by somebody, is it cash grab? And I know you were in talking about Dune, and this is what I thought of when you were saying cash grab with Dune, and I'm going to say it now with Buzz Lightyear, because I think it's true for both. There are times where money making, as filmmaking and TV shows, they are a business, they're money making, but there are plenty of times where money making and making great movies can coexist, where they can say, we're putting a lot of money into this because it's going to make a lot of money, because it's Game of Thrones or Marvel or Star Wars or Star Trek or Pixar and Disney. We're going to put a lot of money behind it because it's going to make a lot of money, but guess what, we're also going to give you really great movies or TV shows. They're not mutually exclusive, and I think that that's this case here. It's the case with Dune. It's going to work here, where they're going to put a lot of money into it, and it's still going to be great. I supremely look forward to it. I just, I watched the trailer again. I know you watched it, Infinity and Beyond number of times. You like what I did there? I watched it a few times, and it's just, it got me every time. And you responded with, it gave me goosebumps, and it was like, yeah, it gave me goosebumps too. It really did.
So we've talked about this on a previous podcast too, that as far as movie trailers go, I think this is the perfect movie trailer. Like, the perfect template for a movie trailer, I should say.
Yes.
Because we've talked a lot about how movie trailers nowadays, they need to sell the plot, right? It's not just, okay, here's a 30-second clip, and, we're going to do a quick little cut-up, mash-up of a movie and throw it out on TV screen. We're getting 3 to 4 minute trailers dropping now that a lot of times give too much away. And before I continue with this, I need to go on a third tangent here. So I just went on one tangent. We're breaking off that tangent to another tangent. So keep with me here. What I'm going to say right now needs to be said, and I've said this on Twitter. Labeling something as a children's movie does not give you the right to be a lazy storyteller. It does not give you the right to make a bad movie, and it does not give you the right to just write off a movie into the sunset. Some of the best movies on this earth are quote-unquote children's movies and children's stories. So, with that being said, the fact that this trailer is for a quote-unquote children's movie and has literally hit every single note that a trailer should hit and hasn't given anything away and is leaving so much room for discussion is amazing. I absolutely love it. They cut this trailer perfectly. It's like a minute 20, a minute 30, something like that. And it's just quick little jumps from scene to scene to scene with David Bowie playing in the background. You don't get a whole lot of information in it, but it's enough to keep the conversation going. And that's what a trailer needs to be. It needs to be enough to keep the conversation going. So as far as the trailer goes, I love it. Perfect. Awesome. Something that gets me really excited for this movie, and even more excited, I should say, is something that I actually just found out before we started recording. Do you know who the director of this is?
Good question. No, I don't.
Nobody should know who the director of this is because it's someone making their directorial debut. His name is Agnes MacLean. But what gets me very excited for this is he's been with Pixar since 1998's A Bug's Life. So he was 23 at the time when he came into Pixar and started working on A Bug's Life as an animator. He has since worked as an animator on Toy Story 2, Monsters, Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3. He was a co-director on Finding Dory. So this is his first, standalone directorial debut. But something that makes me so excited for this is a lot of people know this. Some people won't know this. I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of recap this. Is something that Pixar and Disney used to never be related. They were two separate companies.
Right.
That,
Yeah.
That Pixar did their own thing, but it was produced by Disney and it was distributed by Disney. Like they had a working partnership, but they weren't the same company until what was it, the mid 2000s or mid 2010s or something like that. When Bob Iger came into power for Disney, is when they bought Pixar. So since Disney has bought Pixar, there's been a large Disney influence into a lot of their films, which isn't a bad thing, but it kind of, some of the films became a little cookie cutter, and some of the films, didn't have as impactful meanings or the depth that some of the previous iterations have, before that merger took place. So with that being said, I am very, very, very excited about this because this is a holdover from the original Pixar, who came in for Bug's Life, which was Pixar's second movie. He came in, came in as a kid. He was 23 years old. He's now 46, making his directorial debut. So I'm very excited to have someone with that background and that appreciation that came through those ranks, and it wasn't someone that just kind of got shoehorned into the position, or that someone they said, "Oh, we need new life. Let's bring him in." They went to the well one too many times sometimes, but this person now coming into this and doing this and being that holdover from being not an original Pixar animator, but one of the originals, in that, first couple of years, it makes me so excited to see what he's going to do with this, man. It gets me going.
That's perfect. All right, cool deal.
So, you got any comments on that?
No, but I like that. I think that's good. Bringing somebody up from the minor system and letting them develop and then giving them that. And I don't think they're going to give it to this guy if they didn't trust it. So, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm confident. They know what they're doing.
So, I'm very, very excited for this. This got me going real good. And to clarify something real quick, this is his, feature film debut. He's done some animated shorts, and he's done the Toy Story shorts for, he was the writer and director for the Small Fry and Toy Story of Terror. So he does have some, experience directing and everything like that. So it's not like they're just throwing him in dry or anything like that. So very excited for it. Very, very happy. Just completely over the moon about it. And in the trailer alone, there's some just subtle nods to the original Toy Story that I love, that I'm not going to break down every single one of them, but one of them is in the ship that Buzz has is powered by a crystal, and I don't know if you know this, but there's a throwaway line in the first Toy Story when he pops out and he asks Woody if his people have discovered crystallic fusion yet. So I love the fact that they took a throwaway line like that and, made it so evident and clear that, hey, this is what this is. So it brings a smile to my face, and it makes me very excited to see what they're going to be doing going forward with this. So
I agree. Yeah.
If they're paying that level of detail and attention to it, it's going to be great.
And sorry.
No, I was just going to say one more thing that I actually just read right now is Tim Allen and Chris Evans actually share a birthday.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
June 13th.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, weird.
The one thing I was going to add is that Dan made a great point that it would be super cool if Woody in some way makes an appearance in this and is voiced by Robert Downey Jr.
When Dan brought that up, I thought that was the most perfect, pairing. Just everything across the board with that is just perfect.
I kind of agree. I normally wouldn't have wanted it, but that really just is... The universe is perfect in that way. So, yeah.
And that's the thing with this is they can get as crazy and as wonky with this as they possibly can. they could do whatever they want to do with this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's
Yeah.
and it's not like it's not like Buzz's character doesn't know that he's a cowboy or anything like that, because it's one of the first thing that he says to Woody. So it's like, you know, he knows what cowboys are. He knows that these people exist. It's not like, you know, he's in this futuristic world or anything like that. So it's, you know, I'm so excited. So
I agree. All right.
yeah, so that's Lightyear. Look for it to be coming out summer 2022. That will probably be mine and Kate's first date night in a very long time at that point.
Nice.
So
Very nice. Very nice.
yeah, having a little one running around at that time will be a little tough, but yeah.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's all I got. You got anything else that you wanna touch on or anything? We're going for an hour here, so we're coming up on an hour here, so whatever you want to do.
I'm going to give us a 3-minute plug blurb because everybody knows what Dune is. Everybody knows Buzz Lightyear. And I just want us to close it out talking about something that not a lot of people might know because it's on Hulu. Only Murders in the Building with Martin Short, Steve Martin, Selena Gomez. One of the best things we've seen all year. Highly recommend.
Yeah, no, that's not even like an exaggeration. Like, it is absolutely phenomenal. It's exactly what you would expect out of those three. Exactly what you would expect. It's absolutely great. And they got renewed for season 2, so it's, you know, coming back and everything. It's what is it, 10 30-minute episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a quick watch, it's an easy watch, and it's a very fun watch. So I'm not going to get into any like the details or the premise of it, but if you like a good murder mystery podcast, I would really recommend watching it.
Yeah, you're watching two legends in Martin Short and Steve Martin at the height of their game, and that's saying something. And then Selena Gomez, who is also wonderful in the music, the setting, the story, the humor. It really is just a good, fun, enjoyable, entertaining watch that only got better with each episode. So it's nice when we can recommend something that is not on everyone's radar, but everybody that did watch it loved it. So go watch that.
Yeah, you guys listened to me about Ted Lasso, so listen to Rich about this one.
There you go.
So
Well, I like it.
yeah, there we go.
All right.
So that's all we got for you. Don't forget, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We are officially back, baby. So keep an ear out. We'll be posting when we drop stuff. So Rich, I will see you later. Dan's not here to give us some quirky last word. If you got one, I'll take it.
I got nothing.
Okay, well, all right, we're out of here.
All right. So let's